And Elizabeth, you handed it. All right.
Okay.
Recording for the recording, then I'll just state that we took roll call and we do have a quorum. Elizabeth, you handed out a addition to the agenda. Do we want to file that under updates and related items, or do we want to call it out specifically?
We're gonna have it be agenda item number 7, child care pod project.
Okay. Any other additions? Okay. Welcome, Crystal. All right, hearing no other additions, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move, John.
I can second.
Motion by Hawkinson, second by Hanson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, very good. Minutes of the January 31st meeting.
I'll move the minutes.
Second, John.
All right, thank you both. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. Brings us already to agenda item number 4, housing project update. Are we?
Just kind of recapping the committee meeting yesterday, and then we just have a few things to add about other housing projects.
Well, I will start with a recap then from the Property and Development Committee meeting yesterday. We met with, I'm drawing a blank on everybody's name.
Steve Elfring,
Steve, right, Ron
Maddie.
Batty, thank you, from the legal office. And just discussed, some concerns really around cost and making the project feasible for Steve Elfring. And in the end, where we settled is Steve agreed that he's ready and able to move forward. He has signed commitments with the builder for that initial demo home out on Fairview. And we left it as a mortgage going on. So he will not pay for the lot at signing, but when he turns around and sells that, then the $17,500 will be due and payable to the EDA. There's also a clause that you probably saw in your packet that if he turns that into a rental property, then interest would accrue. Otherwise, there's 0% interest on that mortgage for him. He raised some further concerns. Of course, this is a trial to see if there's enough interest to move forward with the patio home project at the old hospital site. And he raised some concerns about just the cost of infrastructure. He threw out a number about $35,000 per lot on that, which is roughly $250,000, let's call it. And just concerns that in general, that's going to make the price point there even higher. And so we had some initial brief discussion about, maybe there's some grants that we can look into. Maybe the city and or the EDA can do something to offset the cost of infrastructure. Those discussions, of course, will, be had at a later date once we find out if this initial foray is feasible, and if he can, at least break even and hopefully turn a profit to fund the next project. So, Chuck, Susie, Elizabeth, anybody want to add anything further to that?
I think the only thing I would add is, in addition to the things you already mentioned, I think Steve made a point that this was going to be a learning experience. We're going to find out where the market is. And he did not rule out maybe downscaling a little bit, because this is going to be, I think he's envisioning a pretty nice place, upscale. And if the market dictates, maybe we can just get the downscale a little bit. So that's a possibility too, in addition to talking about some other concessions or adjustments or enticements.
Yeah. I guess too, just in terms of cost, he's looking at a list cost right now of $394, I believe he said, for the single family home that he's going to build. He has a little bit of concern because a twin home next door just listed for $300. So there is a significant change there, but you're also talking twin home versus single family. And he's looking for more mid to upscale level finishes as well. So we'll see if the audience is here to make that work for him. And hopefully it will. We've heard from many avenues that there's a housing shortage, not only in Olivia, in the entirety of Renville County. But yeah, unfortunately, housing materials and interest rates, everything is high. And so that makes the entry cost a little bit burdensome.
And that's kind of where this whole conversation stemmed from is Mr. Elfring approached Susie and I in the middle of last week. He was crunching some numbers on this proposal and was getting a little concerned about his margins. So he had discussed if there was any opportunity to perhaps get a little bit more relief on the price. We couldn't do that in the timeline that he wanted. Because if the EDA was to change the price of the lot, we would have to go back to a public hearing and all these things. And for him, it was most important to sign with the builder to get that contract so that the project wasn't moved to the back of the list. There was a discussion in talking with Ron that if there was any interest in providing that type of relief on the price, we can always offer a contract amendment. Now at the property committee at this moment, that wasn't explored. That was decided not to happen. It's not to say that if Mr. Elfring was to come back to the EDA in a couple of months and prices have changed, it still remains an option. If the EDA would like to exercise to provide that relief, if he comes back and says, these costs are much higher than I've anticipated, this is where we're looking at. My recommendation would be if that he does approach the EDA, we look at providing that type of relief. There haven't been a lot of developers in the city who want to do something like this. Right now, I understand that the price of the lot has been set at 17.5 for however many years. Typically in real estate, if you have a price that's not moving the property for you, you would lower it. And really at any point, he's looking at getting that lot back on the tax rolls, which would be a huge benefit, and that this leads into something else. So that opportunity at this moment, that exercising the right to amend the contract isn't moving forward. But I think it's still just important to have on the horizon that if he does come back, this is hard. I want to make sure that we're being a good partner because right now he is our only developer. And he's shown a good track record within the city of Olivia, you know, with the however many plex across the street with Bayberry. He's shown that he's involved and interested. And I want to make sure that we're doing our part in being a good partner for that. So that's where this whole property committee meeting stems.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this right. So this would be for the lots where the old hospital was.
The model home that he is
The model home.
that he is building on Fairview is to
Is-
go then build more of them where the old hospital is.
How many lots are available there?
8.
There's 8. And then is there so many that have to be sold before he moves forward with the project, or is he just doing it and then? Gotcha.
So like on the bank end, the numbers just don't work unless he has 4 homes sold before construction
Sure.
starts.
Is he putting up all 8?
He's
When
the
construction
part-
goes
like
up, or
the
is it just
original
half?
plan was to put 4 and then build 4.
Gotcha.
So do them in increments of 4 and 4.
Okay.
A big part of that is the infrastructure. And so his thought was he would bring in the main line and then stub in 4 lots, build those, turn them around, and then
And then do the other
the
side.
next 4.
Makes sense. Okay. I just wanted to understand that fully.
But he's hoping with the Fairview lot to build like, a model home
Mhm.
to show and then sell it. And then hopefully that gets people interested and can actually see what he's.
People want to know what they're buying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it was also discussed very just briefly with Susie and I last week of whether kind of this litmus test of if this patio home works or if townhomes make more sense to put on that lot. Or like, you know, we've been talking about comprehensive planning and different middle housing options, like a courtyard house community or something like that. So whereas everybody's been very focused on patio homes recently, he understands that like, you know, that's been a couple of years. Is that still the right choice here? So this model home will again be a litmus test as if the desire for patio homes is there, or if there are a different type of housing that might be more suited to that area.
Makes more sense to build 1 than try to build 4.
And he's open to being a developer on something different as well, if the patio home thing doesn't work out,
So far,
possibly.
yeah.
Yeah.
He seems motivated to partner with whatever's gonna be marketable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Show him a return as well.
Yeah.
Right.
That's again why I want to make sure the EDA in the city is being a very good partner as well.
Mhm.
Because he seems very engaged in the partnership and very interested. And I haven't seen anybody else brought to the table like that yet.
I think the one thing that everybody agrees on is that there's a housing shortage in Olivia. The trick is to figure out what to supply that'll match that demand.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we're gonna learn something from this.
Definitely. Any other housing update?
What about the request from the county, kind of where that project is at?
Yeah, so you may recall in late 2023, mainly the couple months that I was here for that year. We had some discussions about the county and another partner about the modular home kind of development. They were given like 280s at around the price. So they were looking for different infill lots that people might have to offer. So I believe we suggested a couple within the city, and we're still waiting to hear back on that proposal, but that's kind of where that situation is.
And we didn't necessarily own those lots.
But we didn't have to own those lots.
Right.
That was
They
not a requirement.
Do want like the land for basically free and waiving of building permits and things like that. And one thing that we did just learn about building permits is that for like a $350-ish thousand home, you're looking at about $4,500 in permits. And only about $500 of that is kept in-house and could be like really wiped clean. The rest we have to pay. There's a little bit that goes to the state and then the rest goes to our building official, Darren. So even if we on paper waive something,
We have to cover the
entities still have to
costs.
be paid, so it would essentially be like a grant from the EDA or whoever's paying for it. But I didn't even know what those ratios really were, but Marissa with planning and zoning will come and walk us through if that time really comes.
When and if that time comes, I think it would be good if you can provide us an update of what we have in terms of funds that we can dedicate towards those types of projects. I know we've been pretty tight for a while with the sale of Bayberry, and we might have a little bit more than we've had in the past, but we want to make sure that we still have funds available to, loan to new businesses and things as well.
Sean gave me a whole bunch, Sean with finance, give me a bunch of our like annual information, financial information. So I'll use that information to create kind of like some sort of like spreadsheet that we will look at like quarterly here. And then that'll also feed into the annual report that we just found out we should be doing.
Okay,
Thanks to bylaws.
fair enough. Yeah, when that's ready, if you can share that with the.
That's on the
Board,
agenda
that would
item
be
for
helpful.
next time.
Okay, very good. Anything else on number 4 of the housing updates? All right. Moving on then to item number 5, resolution 2024-03, approving plans for development at 1401 Fairview. And I'm going to assume that is in the packet here somewhere.
Yep, it's right after the minutes and about 7 pages long.
I will move the resolution.
Second, John.
Oh, Robbie, I'll do it.
All right.
John drank his coffee this morning.
Before we take a vote, Susie, are you going to walk us through the development plans, or were we expecting Steve to join us to present on the plans?
He is not able to join us. He's out of the country and this is, I mean, we've all kind of looked at this, so I didn't think it was too critical for him to be here. The developer plans are maybe, I don't want to say boilerplate, but it's what we've been talking about for a few months here. So it's the single family home. It's about, I want to say 1,500 square feet. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yep,
They're
there we
like
go.
1,700. Depends.
They have 8-foot ceilings. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car, like oversized garage. So it fits in very nicely in the Fairview Estates neighborhood. It's a slab on grade, which is required there with the water table as it is. energy efficient. And this also checked all the boxes from the focus groups that Steve Elfring had done with the interested people from the patio home project that we've been working on over the years. We've kept like a list of names and he's reached out to all of them. He has just continued to boil it down to still offer the amenities that are being requested from the community and also lock it in at a price point that makes sense.
He took out the bathtub in the master bath.
Yep.
But
There is one in the hall.
In the hall bath.
And there's a patio, so you could pop down a hot tub.
And actually, I guess we can get into that more in the development agreement, so I'll hold that question for now. All right. As far as the motion, do I need to read this or no?
Just the resolution number.
All right. Resolution number 2024-03 as provided in the packet. And we had a motion by Chuck and a second by John.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, and then moving on to the actual purchase agreement and development agreement. And the question I just thought of that I'll start with, has the building inspector reviewed it to ensure that everything is code worthy and whatnot, or is it too early for that at this point in the game?
I know he has not looked at this, but I think it's too early.
Okay,
He will look more at the like mechanical specs and things like that.
These are not construction drawings,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
like he can't look at this to see if you're venting or code or anything like this. These are just design development drawings.
look at the final plan.
Yeah, he'll look at the final plan and I mean, that's why he'll be there to review things and stuff like that as well.
Okay,
It looks like these are signed architectural designs, aren't they?
Yeah,
So they're,
we've been working with an engineer and stuff like that.
They're close.
Yeah.
And in here is where it says, I'm not sure which page. 3 of this document says purchase price of the property is 17.5 and the developer shall pay 0 at closing. Full purchase price to be due upon sale of the property to a home buyer or 3 years after the effective date, whichever comes first.
all right, so you're in the purchase agreement then?
Yes, it's on the 3rd page of it, down at the bottom of the page.
So this is what the part we would amend
Yes.
if
Yeah.
we needed to.
do you have anything in there in regards to timeline? Like, I'm just looking at unavoidable delays, right? So we put this house out at Fairview, or he puts the house out at Fairview. Are we giving him an amount of time to sell the 4 lots before they move on to a different discussion? Or is there anything like that?
Is a current time limit on the hospital lot.
We've already so, yeah, by statute, when an EDA sells land, there's I think it's a 1-year window where construction has to begin or the property would revert unless the agreement is extended. We did extend once already. I forget when that was.
Year ago,
Yeah.
and I can't remember if it was an 18-month extension or 24. We'll have to
18
double-
months.
18 months, I'll check it.
So yeah, the thought there is just that we, when we sell it, we expect something to be done. We don't want it to, sit there vacant for 5 years, so.
And when we extend it, we're doing it with the knowledge that we have good faith.
Like a
with
plan in
the
place,
developer,
right,
That,
right.
and we've had a real good experience working with Steve, so I think that drove the extension, so.
And there's been forward movement for forward progress within the project, even though no dirt's been moved.
Right.
And in this situation, we haven't had other developers, saying, I'm ready if that person's not, where previously when we didn't have like a clear timeline of when we could exit the contract, we had a developer that wasn't moving forward at the pace we wanted to see. And I did have other developers asking us, like if they could get a crack at it, and we had to tell them no. So far we're in a good situation where we have a developer moving forward and unfortunately, bring to the table, but we like forward.
Yeah.
It's a good note. We're hoping to look at that memorial lot contract just to make sure that it's up to date.
And the construction out at Fairview shouldn't take too long, I would
No.
assume, correct?
They want to break ground.
March 15.
March 15th was his ideal date.
Just to say 4 months to build.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a number I heard.
Mhm.
When we were in our meeting at the bank, didn't they say it usually takes 3, but they tell everybody 4?
Yeah.
4 months, just in case delays happen and stuff.
Mhm.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting that the model home that he's going to construct out on Fairview is really progress towards what will hopefully become the hospital
I mean,
redevelopment.
if he had that done before winter, you could do showings all winter and possibly break ground and do 4 houses by the following year in the summer. Yeah,
So he could start advertising during Corn Capital Days.
I think that would be great.
We're blowing out.
Yeah, absolutely. Come stay at a new model rental home. By the way, you can buy it.
Like it so much.
This document that we're looking at, the purchase agreement and developer agreement, it's a lot of boilerplate. I mean, there's pages of definitions and then there's that resolution is embedded in here, so it looks scarier than it is.
I think the section that you called out, Suzie, I mean, that's a key point that we want to focus on because that's when and if we get paid, you know, the 17.5, not at closing, which will be probably in a couple of weeks, but either at the point of sale to a first homeowner or after 3 years is the term that we've allowed that to stretch if Steve opts to make it a rental property. And if it does become a rental property, then there's a clause in there that would kick in a 5% interest rate for us as well.
Kennedy and Graven Law Firm have been really great to work with this stuff.
We
Suzie?
need to act on this today on the agreement.
Absolutely, because he needs to close in a couple of weeks so they can break ground in
Well,
a
but the
couple of weeks.
The resolution didn't take care of that.
The resolution did not take care of that.
Okay, so we need to,
You need a motion to approve this agreement, yes.
I can make a motion to approve the agreement.
Motion by Hanson, second by Dylan. Any further discussion? Suzie, anything further in the development agreement that you want to point out to us? We've spent a fair amount of time talking about the purchase agreement, not so much on the development agreement, maybe.
Like I said, most of it's boilerplate. That page 3 with our clause about how we get paid and when we get paid is pretty much the only customization to it.
Any questions from anybody on the board? In your review, was there anything that anybody thought was bearing of further discussion or
Pretty uninteresting.
uninteresting? All right,
Have that Sina Zupke over at Craft is Steve's lawyer, and she has reviewed it and has no questions either.
hearing no further discussion, we got a motion again by Hanson, second by Dylan. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, that brings us to item number 7, the child care pod.
Yeah, so apologize for the last minute addition. It's just a timely item. So this is your single page here. So Renville County is reaching out to multiple cities because it is no secret that there is a childcare shortage. We're considered in a childcare desert. One of the things that one of the ideas to address this that they found very interesting has been done in Morris, Minnesota, which is where these essentially little 1-bedroom houses, townhomes, have been built with playgrounds on the back. And this is where instead of having the daycare run out of your house, you can rent this pod and have the daycare there. So you don't have to, your house doesn't have to take a beating. And so each of these little houses can support 1 provider and 12 children. So they are looking at trying to bring that to the county. And so they are reaching out to different cities to see what they could be doing to kind of sweeten the pot. The city of Olivia owns a couple of lots that could easily be donated to this. The council recognizes the concerns with daycare and stuff like that. As well as I've talked to our public works team, they would be amenable to helping out with snow removal, maintenance items, lawn care, items like that. One of the things I just wanted to bring as a brainstorm to this group, is there any contribution that the EDA may like to consider to this project? Of course, the kind of, if there's anything else we can do to sweeten the pot, we would be in the advantage of having it here in Olympia. So I don't know if the EDA, you know, kind of the budget thing, if they would say, hey, we would give you a grant to do the playground equipment in the back or the fence in the back, or we could contribute this amount of money for supplies or something like that, to help us with our proposal. John, you looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just gonna, encourage the board to consider supporting on some level, some sort of sponsorship or grant to make this happen. I mean, not only are we gonna be providing some workforce needs, but perhaps we'll be generating some traffic in town as well from people outside who are really struggling to find childcare at this point. So it definitely is a tool we can use for economic development on a few different levels.
So the pod would not necessarily be a daycare center. It would just take a home daycare and move it to
Correct,
to
a
a
new
different
location.
location.
Because sometimes they have found that some childcare providers, their hesitancy to get started with a home daycare is they don't want it in their house, or they don't have the funds to get their house up to code. So they couldn't have a daycare there. And it's quite costly to get your house up to code, to make those changes if your house is set up to it. So this would be a way for somebody who is interested in the profession, but gets to not have the burden of it in their house or the financial commitment of updating their house to accommodate all the different codes.
Okay, so this would target a new provider, not an existing provider then?
That is the goal. I don't know what their requirement would be, because the county is looking at the funds to build these buildings, if they would let a provider come in to move it out of their house if they have issues. But the goal is, yes, new providers.
Is that do you think that's a stipulation we can set for our own granting purposes? Is that these are net new daycare seats to the community or county?
I can ask Jordan about that. This is a county-led proposal, so
Sure.
I don't know what stipulations we as the city get to necessarily impose
Sure.
on the county-led.
Okay.
project. But that can certainly be a discussion point.
When you say playground behind it, are we saying that there would be one larger playground and then there'd be multiple pods
So
in an area like?
in the Morris, Minnesota model, it's 2 playgrounds in fenced off communities. So they share a fence, but they each have their own playground. Because one of the problems with a pod is if you do one playground, your kids can't be out there at the same time. Because then you're sharing classes, and they're supposed to be 2 separate businesses.
Do they have to be fenced off in between?
In the model I have seen, they have been.
Because you're only licensed so many kids
Correct.
as a daycare provider.
You are only licensed 12 children.
Unless you
and
have variance
so
and all the other.
You can't,
Silly, but.
it
It's
is,
not our-
it
it's
is.
not our-
That's not my fight.
They can all meet at the park and play.
They
Right.
could, so they could bring the children to Henton Park as like an activity, and if there are other kids there, that's fine. But one of the things in addition to this would be playgrounds fenced in the back. And so, yes, you have 2 playgrounds in the back for the kids to play on. If you were to share one playground, you would have to work with the other pods to ensure that only your class is out there at specific times. Are you pulling up the video?
I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Do we have any ideas on location? What we're thinking of in regards to location of these?
Yeah,
pods?
so we're kind of limited to what City of Olivia owns. So there are lots on the north side in a development that was slated for Prairie View Estates. And we have a punch out there. We would have to lay a road into houses, but utilities are right there as well. If you want to pull up the lots, Susie, that we chatted about.
Is that the only one that we have in town?
Those are the easiest ones at the moment. I can't spell.
That's right, it works. Google knows what you're saying.
Oh, that's the old, oh, is that?
Is that why it doesn't work very well? Is this an old version?
I mean, I don't go to that first page you did.
Okay, so we're on the north side here.
Up further. So these are all currently city owned. So there's a fire hydrant right here, which means they're stubbed in. So you'd only have to, there's already a cutout here. So these are the two lots we're looking at offering for donating. Full disclosure, the city council did vote to offer these lots for sale to these owners, but no owner has taken the city up on those proposals. And that was offered in the fall of 2023. So I feel comfortable that if there's not the interest to purchase it, if you really wanted it, you would have responded to my letter.
Sure.
So I've talked to, I've talked to Dave in water, wastewater, we've talked to electric, we've talked to public works. This is fairly doable. You have utilities that can punch in right here. It's not too far of a road to bring in. So these are the easiest ones that the city has available right now to possibly develop and
Broad Street?
offer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep. Both of those properties actually are kind of group home situations, so it feels like it kind of fits.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So those are the two parcels we're looking at providing in the proposal. Henton Park is like 2 blocks down.
Yep.
The other lots that we've considered right now, they're privately owned, and with the turnaround that's required on this proposal, I don't feel confident that we could turn those around fast enough.
I can't find it.
So this,
That one?
this possible donation of those
No.
two city lots would be a council decision.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the EDA can decide to donate playground equipment or something of that nature.
Yes. But if that's the direction that the EDA would like to go, I would love to be able to mention that in our proposal, that the EDA is considering these different options.
I would be, anything to get more daycare.
Do we have any programs right now where people are able to get sponsored to become licensed daycare providers? I mean, like, I know you have to do,
The county has some programs to like, you can use to update your home to make them up to code.
no, I mean, to
But-
get certified as a daycare provider, like BLS training costs money, you have to go to daycare meetings and whatever. Like, do we have anything like that in place to encourage people so that if it costs, say, $2,000 for them to get fully licensed as a daycare and have all their training?
Scholarship.
Yeah.
Yes, do we have something like that that encourages people? Because I mean, becoming a daycare is one thing and having the location is another.
Oh my gosh.
Where if that's something that somebody is saying, I'd really love to become a daycare provider, but I don't have an extra $2,000 to get all of my training
Yeah.
completed, it doesn't matter if you have a location, if you can't
Yeah.
afford the,
Training.
yes, to get started.
I don't know.
Or I don't know, I mean, like, I love the idea of the playground. I just want to know if that's an option too. Because that would actually encourage people to move forward with getting certification as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's financial assistance available at the county level. I do know that they have staff there that, their job is to walk people through the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's financial roadblocks, I guess.
I know, like, on average, I think a BLS training is between $150 to $300. I don't know what actual daycare certification, but I think it's a course,
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken, like a 6 to 12 week course, but I might be completely wrong. I don't want to speak, for that. I'm sure we could ask a daycare provider and.
4 seconds.
Saw this ad the other day.
Touch of the divine.
You might want to share this into Zoom if you're gonna post the whole thing on YouTube.
Say that again?
You might want to share your screen into Zoom, so if the recording gets posted to YouTube, people don't see X minutes of nothingness.
Be able to hover over the bottom. Yep, share screen. And then innovation award though. Good thinking.
We'll be watching a YouTube video.
All right.
A YouTube video.
Play.
Embed the link in the Zoom.
Inception.
Okay, here we go.
Stevens County recognized the impact that childcare has on the local economy
Jordan.
when their
Yes.
community experienced a shortage of options. In response to this problem, the county constructed 6 interconnected childcare units called mini homes. Each mini home has the feel of a home with a bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, living room, fenced-in backyard, and outdoor play set. Though the mini homes are all connected, each one is operated by separate, independent childcare providers. The Stevens County Childcare Project opened its doors in July 2023 and is the first structure of its kind in Minnesota. Since then, they have created 70 childcare spaces, enabled 26 families to keep employment, and established 6 new businesses within Stevens County. The ingenuity of the mini home has earned the childcare location the Innovation Award from the Economic Development Association of Minnesota, and success that is leading a new revolution for childcare options across the state.
So that's what the county, Renville County is spearheading to bring to at the county level. And so that's why we're offering the city.
Daycare drop-off can be challenging for children and parents.
Find a new solution, so this is
But
one
knowing
of
your little
the ones.
one is in good hands makes it easier. Today we had to explore of circles. Sorry.
And they would all have to be furnished by the individuals that are doing it as well, correct?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the creative problem solving it took to sidestep these ridiculous state mandates. I mean, all those 6 separate jungle gyms are way safer than one single one.
It looked a little strange, didn't it? 6 identical playground sets,
It's,
6 mini sheds in the back. I mean, yeah, one big center seems like it would be easier, but
it looks like a
Yeah.
Band-Aid for a much larger administrative problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from, but, so I mean, I don't know if the EDA would consider saying, you know, the EDA is interested in providing initial scholarships of X amount to this project or what have you, to fund supplies, to fund playgrounds. I think we want to be, if you're comfortable making something concrete to contribute to the proposal. If you're not, I understand, but just wanted to bring this to you all.
do you have some funds information for us, Susie? Otherwise, I don't know that we can make anything concrete.
We have money from the sale from Bayberry. We just put 150 into our loan pool. So we still have more than 300,000 to, I don't want to say play with, but available, and I can get a better number from Sean. But that's being that's like a cautious number. I know there's more. I don't have a number, but I feel like we need to come to the table on this. What we want that to look like, I don't know. I don't even know what a playground. Like
Those type of playgrounds, I purchased just like a family playground, which is what those seem to be.
The
In
rainbows,
the sector, yeah, those are, so, I don't know.
they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
You're looking at probably 2 to 3 grand.
Oh, I was thinking like 5.
It might be more. I'm very serious. It depends on what you're looking for.
Maybe a smart move for the board would be to target a dollar amount and say, you know, we want to invest $10,000 towards the recreational area of this concept.
And then depending on how it ends up being structured, whether you're a brand new daycare provider, where you don't have supplies to bring in, or you're one that's downsizing your home, but you still want to do daycare for a few more years, so you have things to bring in, we could still do a loan, and we have the ability to set, what that interest rate is.
I was
So-
just gonna ask if new person doesn't have the 2 cribs and like supplies like that, can they apply through like the revolvable loan fund
Absolutely.
for funds? Okay.
And there's lots of other programs we can stack.
Yeah.
Even if you do like a match, but then you don't say that there's a stipulation on how long that takes, like I just think, okay, if it's gonna cost $2,000 to get certified, we give them a match of exactly that, but they have a year to pay it back so that they can actually open their daycare, make some revenue, and then, you know, the whole thing is it's a pretty decent risk. They'd probably have to quit a job, get certified.
Mhm. Yeah,
And if it's an item that's on our priority list and it's low cost, like, let's grant things out to get things
Yeah,
moving
I think
along.
so too.
I think that would be super helpful. I do think the upfront cost of daycare is probably the biggest issue for most people getting started.
I agree.
I don't think there'd be a shortage of finding children.
no, not at all.
No.
And especially if this also gives the vibe of like a at-home daycare, which I think a lot of people really want and they pursue that.
That's what we know here.
Yeah,
I'm in the minority. I love a daycare center. But that's what I know.
You know,
That's what I grew up in. That's what was available when my children are daycare age, so.
They're not giving us a lot of time.
They're not, no, their own, so the Renvilles, they want their application into the state by March 12th, which is why
Oh,
this is such a quick turn.
we just say a dollar amount and
The EDA offers a grant of X amount.
the
for
each
lot.
location or
Yeah.
each location, which, you know,
I suppose we need to make sure that it's within Olivia.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is all city specific, right? Like,
Oh,
we're
got it.
not gonna be donating City of Olivia plots, but then they get to use EDA funds somewhere else. This is all, it has to be in Olivia for these things to be given to them.
All right.
Yeah. Good clarification, though.
I kind of like the idea of keeping it open-ended, because if there's only gonna be two of them, and you potentially have two applications to start a daycare in there, it might be worth asking the people, you know, what is it that you need? Maybe they already have a daycare set or a swing
Sure.
set at their house that they want to bring in on their own. What is it that
Oh,
you need
sure.
from us to assist you in moving forward with this?
Yeah,
Leave the
Maybe it
grant
is the
open-ended
crib.
for you.
Yeah.
Leave it open-ended. And then maybe we could put something up on the EDA that like, hey, if you're interested in being a daycare provider, we have an option for you. Let us know what your drawbacks are. How can we help? Oh, we have this.
So it would be a total of 4.
So
Spots.
they're at least doing 2
Okay.
with the option to go to 4. But
If
right
the-
now, the initial plan is for 2.
And if
It's
they
2
need
to
it
4.
there, then they can
Yeah.
look at doing.
The two separate locations.
I think they would put, yeah, they would put like 2 on
2 on
one
1.
parcel. It probably depends upon what the size is of the parcels they're being donated.
Mm.
I don't think a 4 would work on one of those parcels.
Could we fit 2, you think, on one of those parcels?
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they're basically
Small twin
identical to
homes.
the.
Small twin homes. 1-bedroom twin home. So yeah, I think you could fit 2 on each parcel. I wonder how that'll work with utilities. That is a logic question down the line. Okay. Good logic question, good detail question. Out of the scope of the current request for proposal.
And we wouldn't have to rip up the street because there's not a reason.
Would the county maintain ownership? So they would be the leasing agency for these pods, basically?
That first paragraph there.
Yep.
Okay.
Pods will be owned by Renville County, HRA, EDA.
Yeah.
Ah.
So then basically they're gonna lease it to a
Yep,
person who wants to run a daycare there.
correct.
Does anybody want to phrase anything in the form of a motion here?
With that, I suppose that wouldn't be subject to real estate tax then?
I don't know, I'd have to ask Jordan that question.
County owned, probably not.
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
If it would raise property tax base.
Well,
You might, because you might get more people in the city because they can now find childcare. So it could have a nice ripple effect. But not on those lots, but right now we're not collecting their city limits.
Right.
How much is it?
they're
I
anticipating,
was about to say,
Doing
can I
2.
throw out a number and see where I land?
Go for it.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking 10, 15 a unit, open-ended.
First thought I came to was, in my mind, was 10,000 per unit as an open grant to, that they can use however.
They see fit.
Sean will help us find the dollars and from the right categories.
You just tell them that we.
Do we do it as a grant or as half as grant and half as match? Only concern I have is that somebody does this and then
Could
3
do-
months later they're out. or, you know.
You could do a forgivable loan.
Yeah,
Is that how the
after,
county does it?
That's kind
I
of
like
what
that
we
approach.
after like 6 months. And it's forgiven. If you want more than 10, then we go to a 1-to-1 match.
Hmm.
So anything up to 10. We can do. As like a grant or like a forgivable loan.
Mhm.
And then if they want 15, then they have to put in whatever, 2,500 and we put in 2,500 or something.
I like the forgivable loan.
Are we, should we make these permanent installations like, you know, large appliances or,
Yeah, if the money goes to a playground facility and the daycare hangs it up after a year, they don't
take
pull it out and take it with them?
Or you can do a forgivable loan that's half is the first year, half is the second year.
You have to be in business for 2
You have
years.
to be in business for 2 years, $5,000 each year. I mean. I think that would be,
I like John's thought, though, that if it's a permanent item that would be needed to make the pod work for a future tenant, that it has to
it
remain.
has to stay. Well, I mean, even if you get cribs.
Yeah.
Those are for the business, so like you could, I don't know, I guess you could.
So then maybe it's not so much a loan as we would grant it, but it stays with the pod. It's not to
It's not movable,
daycare
it
provider.
stays- Yes, it stays there, so if they get a dishwasher, the dishwasher stays, if they get a washing machine.
It looks like from the plans that they have provided, they come equipped, the county builds them with the appliances and everything like that.
But like you said, they could put in a playground and if they do leave before like 2 years, whatever, they can't take that playground with them. It has to stay.
And we can figure out like the specific terms of like what.
Of the agreement later.
But we can just say we're
Yeah.
good for whatever, 10,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And forgivable loan.
Mhm.
But with that.
And is the city gonna offer, snow removal and
Yes.
lawn mowing?
Yep, we've already cleared that with Public Works, that they're comfortable doing the snow removal, doing the lawn care, stuff like that, yeah.
For how long?
We haven't just
Determined that. Hey,
Do we wanna come up with a dollar amount?
Say 10.
I guess they want something specific from us?
Yeah, so I mean, if right now I have, if I'm hearing correctly, we're looking at one of the contributions from the EDA will be a $10,000 open use forgivable loan for each provider. You know, if you're in business within 2 years, the entire amount is forgiven.
To any provider or new providers?
new providers.
Okay.
So I think we want to encourage people to get certified and to go into this. As far as I know, there's several daycare providers that are within the 5-year retirement age.
Yeah. right.
So we really want younger people
Huh.
and encourage them through that.
That's what I have captured from this conversation. Is that
Yes.
Accurate capture.
I would
Let's
like to,
formalize it in a motion.
I would like to make a motion for a $10,000 forgivable loan paid over 2 years, which we'll figure out the regulations later, towards the Renville County request for pod projects or childcare pod project
The new providers.
to new providers.
Well, second.
All right, we have a motion by Dillon, second by Hanson. Any further discussion, John?
This is per pod or for the whole project?
I say per pod,
Okay.
okay?
The only thing I didn't hear there is, do we want the loan or the equipment, the whatever, to be fixed to the pod permanently, or is this to the provider? Let's clarify that.
Well,
detail,
that'll be my
please.
question.
Have that later. Can we decide that at a later date?
Yeah.
Whether we want it fixed with the property or
Okay.
Yeah.
anything, we can decide that later.
Yeah.
Like
My
the
only
conditions?
thought is, being that the county is gonna turn this around specific to the pod, that it would be good if we clarify that it's contribution to pod equipment, or if it's to a provider that's going to lease a pod.
I mean, would you like it to be used for providers training?
That's,
That's kind of the open-ended portion
Yeah.
that Crystal mentioned in the motion.
Can
What
we
if you-
put it in there if training?
what if we did 20 or 2,500, that's specific towards training necessary requirements and 7,500 to other, has to, like, other equipment that has to stay within the building, because I think that would cover their training for at least 2 years. Because I think they have to take training every year.
John?
One thing to consider is even if this person did leave after 2 years, perhaps we've gotten our return as what we're looking for as a service. Perhaps we've gotten our return on that investment. 2 years of service anyway, so
Right.
maybe we just are okay with it.
Yeah, it's a group consensus. I just think it would be worthwhile to clarify so that the county knows exactly what we're contributing. Because if it's to providers, then it really doesn't affect their proposal for the pod itself.
Yeah, and that's I want to clarify, because your intent was the loan is to the provider, not attached to the pod.
Correct. Correct, because we want to encourage somebody to get into that place and to open
All
it.
That, and it gets it started. And, it's like any of our loans that we make, some of them work out, some of them don't. If this one doesn't work out, it has the added benefit that we've established this facility that someone else can then step into.
Hmm.
So I think that'd be kind of win-win if.
All right.
So the motion was for a $10,000 open use forgivable loan over 2 years to new providers per pod.
Pod, correct.
With a maximum of how many pods?
4. So you're looking at a maximum $40,000 in an unforgivable grant.
And forgivable.
In a forgivable grant. Sorry, forgivable. Forgivable. Written on my paper. Forgivable. Thank you. Forgivable. Okay, summarize the motion. Got it.
We could probably let
One
children
second.
know too,
Michelle did.
when they're working with people, like if they get this, the money that they're going after, can spread the word that if there's other barriers to entering, just,
Reach out.
yeah, let us know what that is and we will
Help you.
try and find a source.
When are they hoping that this starts, or?
I don't know. I'd have to go back to their state grant that they're looking at to figure out when like a decision is made and stuff.
This will probably help us look pretty competitive.
I hope so. Yeah.
I think it would be helpful to like understand when that starts or when they're possibly thinking of doing that, because then we can contact people within the county or daycare, like, I don't know if they have like a regional thing, and just let them know like, hey, we have this new thing that's coming in 2026.
Yeah.
If any daycare people are interested in that,
Yes, absolutely.
and maybe we can get an application before it gets finished.
They can be pre-sold.
That would be great.
All right.
Awesome.
The motion, there's
Yes,
discussion.
back to the motion. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. When you bring us the financial update, Susie, if you can note that 40 grand is earmarked so that we don't overextend ourselves in with our newfound monies.
And if we have a timeline update from Jordan, then we'll know if we need to like carve it out this year or budget for next year.
Yep.
Well, even if it's next year, we need to make sure we don't spend it all this year.
Yes.
You just save some money for a widget factory.
All right, moving on to agenda item 8, updates and related items.
We had a successful Valentine's Day project.
We delivered about 125 cute little bags. We ended up getting like these cellophane pretzel stick bags. I just didn't know how much candy we'd go through. So I took good notes. We filled about 140 bags with like 8 bags of kisses and 5 bags of like miscellaneous candies. We went all chocolate. I don't know why, but that's just where our price point was. And we delivered these 125 bags in about 3 hours with, let's see how many there was.
In the snow.
5 of us, I think, that did it.
Mm-hmm.
But not all of us were out there for 3 hours. It was pretty fun. I know John helped, Elizabeth helped, Chuck helped. Michelle, we had Michelle did like all of downtown. It was super fun.
It was fun. There was some businesses downtown were only open by appointment, so I couldn't make those, but I basically did a whole loop
Yep.
and zigzagged.
I
Went
got
out
a lot
couple
of positive
times.
feedback when I dropped off. People were like, oh, this is really nice. I didn't know like the city did this. So my tagline was, we want to say happy Valentine's Day from the city. We love having you here. I had the chocolate, so.
More bags for some of the larger businesses next year would be nice.
Oh, yeah.
But it was low cost, high
Handing candy
impact.
to a dentist's office though was a little, I was like,
You know they have a sweet tooth there.
yeah. I would say my only recommendation, I did this with my bags, but I taped my business card to the back of the Valentine, so some form of contact information next year, just to make sure that they know about
Yep.
it. That would be the only other thing.
Call to action.
I was gone in the morning, so I didn't get in here till afternoon, but there was just the one left. I was mostly industrial businesses on the north side of the highway. And my typical reaction going in was, because it's not a retail place. If you're retail, someone comes in, hi, how can I help you? If you're not, someone walks in, they're like a little leery looking,
What are you doing here?
Yeah, right. I said, I'm Chuck Brown for EDA, and we're giving you a Valentine, because we think that, my tagline was, we understand that, best way to grow our economy is to grow our existing businesses. But it was funny, because I walk in and their initial reaction, and they look at me kind of leery, and then I give them that, and they brighten up, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So it was kind of
Could be
fun.
cold calling.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a good community outreach. I think businesses really appreciated it and like just being seen.
I like the idea of the thing on the back or I think that would be really good, or even like a little excerpt, like, did you know, like, this is how the EDA can help, and like, go to our website or check this out, or.
It was just a
That'd be cool.
cheesy, like corn
Mhm.
Valentine.
I got a lot of, oh, this is cute.
Yeah.
They were pretty cute.
When we hand out,
They were a little corny, but that was the point.
I hand out bottle rockets for the 4th of July and,
There you go. We thought about gold coins for St. Patrick's Day and said, we're lucky you're here. But that's already within a month, so.
We're checking to see what our candy budget is.
I mean, you could pick a new holiday every year.
That's
Like
true.
this year it was Valentine's Day, next year is St. Patty's, the year after that. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
have another corny hashtag on there, and
Where'd you go?
corny
Mhm.
for Olivia.
Like it.
See,
It was fun.
awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Our comprehensive plan is wrapping up. Sounds like we'll have the final edition this week. And then the council will take action approving it, correct?
Planning commission and then council.
Yep. Our bylaws, thank you for looking at those. Kathy consolidated all the edits, so we sent those off to the lawyers with questions like, can we really do this? Can we get rid of this? So I'm just waiting to hear back for that. Likely it'll be our agenda item for the next time we meet, which would be March 13th. That will take a final look at that and probably sign new bylaws, I would guess. In our bylaws, it says a March 1st financial report goes to our council. So clearly that date is on Friday. We'll have it to them at some point in time in early March. Taking our first crack at a nice written annual report, which is kind of fun. Makes us sound official. And I'm guessing there'll be maybe a presentation to the board or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's not in our bylaws. And chamber event on Thursday. Is that open to the public or just to the chamber?
That's open to the public.
The cyber.
Yep.
Cybersecurity luncheon.
Yeah, just RSVP, so we know how much, how many sandwiches to get.
That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow at noon at Max's. A little update on what's going on in the world with cybersecurity right now.
Everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You guys getting targeted?
It happens from time to time. There was a big cellular something that happened a week ago or so. Verizon, AT&T, and I kept service here, but all of my folks on the East Coast, everybody was without any cell coverage whatsoever.
Yeah.
SOS only. So, yeah, very interesting.
Redundancy is important as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
I think you have to move.
I'm
it
gonna
first.
move first.
Oh.
Okay. Motion by Hawkinson, second by Dillon. I like it.
I don't hear very.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 1:05, we'll call it.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm really excited about this.